to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Buy Box Bandits podcast. We're super excited to bring you guys another awesome episode. Got my two co-hosts here, Garrett and Danny, one specifically with a really awesome t-shirt on today. So we're excited to go through the 4 Amazon business models today and kind of give you a good breakdown of how they all work, what goes into each, and which I specifically do. Garrett, for some reason, wants me to comment on his t-shirt, so that looks good as well. But it's a great September night here in Coatesville, PA, and we're excited to spit some game on the different models here today. So I'll let my two co-hosts check in and let you guys know what's up with them.
All right, yeah, things are going well. We're here September night. We're gonna go over some of the main models.
Just had Chipotle
of Amazon. We did just have Chipotle.
You guys like
full.
Chipotle?
How you feeling? Feeling good now?
Man, Chipotle just
that
hits.
That
Chipotle
really
hit.
did hit.
Not Miles's order though. Not Miles's order.
Yeah, well,
Miles's order some bozo activity.
Typical.
Yeah, so Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's start off. Let's start off with one of the main ways I think a lot of people get into it, and that would be retail arbitrage.
So just arbitrage in general, pretty much. Like
okay. All right. Yeah. So arbitrage in general, retail and online arbitrage. So
yeah.
I mean,
and book arbitrage, I would consider in there as well.
Right.
Model.
Right.
And just to go through the 4 models, arbitrage, simplest, like we're gonna go over first. Wholesale, little more advanced stuff. Private label, really cool kind of niche model for the most part, as well as dropship. We'll start with arbitrage because that's the one we both primarily do, as long as my two co-hosts doing some wholesale as well. But yeah, we'll get started with arbitrage, basically a cool term that basically means reselling, but Gary Vee started saying arbitrage, and now kind of say arbitrage as well. I know some people love when I say it in the comments, they've told me. But yeah, so arbitrage, man, look it up in the dictionary.
So like what would your definition of arbitrage be? Or at least like Amazon arbitrage?
Yeah, so like, in Amazon's case, I'm pretty sure like the fairly textbook definition of the term is buying something with the intent to resell it, right? Mm-hmm. So in Amazon's case, if you're doing retail arbitrage, you'd be going into Walmart, Target, these different in-person stores, different outlet stores, buying stuff with the intent to then go ahead and either send it to FBA or just fulfill it through Amazon's platform, MF. And on the flip side, online arbitrage, which is what I primarily do, is actually sourcing products on these different websites, sometimes using different softwares, which we'll get into, like Tactical Arbitrage and as well as Keep Up, but buying from these websites and then going ahead and getting that stuff in the mail to the house, warehouse, wherever, and then going ahead and processing that inventory to Amazon. And the nice part with all this is we're never buying stuff blind because we're relying on data Amazon already provides us that we can get, in most cases, free, some cases very affordably with Keep Up and all that. So we're not buying blind, and we're consistently and profitably churning out 30% ROI, 35% ROI on average for our different products, and you can really see the way over time that money can really compound and grow into something really cool.
Right. So, I mean, arbitrage is definitely pretty much like kind of the way to go to start on Amazon.
Yeah,
so, I mean, if someone was to ask you, where do I find out more information about arbitrage, or like how do I find what store to go to or what products to buy, what would you say to them, Garrett?
I mean, I think the easiest entry point is just starting at all your local big box stores, right? Your Walmart, your Target.
Clearance aisles.
Exactly.
Especially like as of late and just in general, like Walmart, especially clearance. I know when we were in Miami, Taylor and I, which I still have to post a YouTube video on that actually, we checked out Target. There was some good clearance in there. But yeah, literally just the clearance aisle in general. Specifically, there's a lot of good toys out there right now just because of the season we're in. But in general, yeah, just the clearance aisle, see what you can find. Go in there with your Amazon Seller app or Scatify 2, which comes free with Inventory Lab. Although if you're a beginner, definitely just do the Amazon Seller app. Go ahead and just scan the products, right? See what different stuff's going for. If you can find something, that's $5, maybe it's moving for 20, you'll be able to profit, $5 a unit there.
I would actually also say, I feel like the Amazon Seller app sucks for arbitrage.
Well, yeah.
I feel like definitely get the
though,
free trial of Keepa.
Yeah,
or
I think Inventory Lab might even have a month long.
Well, I don't even think Keepa has a free trial.
They don't.
Oh yeah, they don't.
Like
I mean, it's
$17.
Yeah, it's depending on the exchange rate.
True. Yeah, Keepa is a European company, I think.
Yeah, it's funny.
I would definitely go in with one of those, just so you're looking at it correctly, because I think the Amazon Seller app can be deceiving sometimes if you don't know what you're looking at.
And Garrett was talking about how when he was getting started, he would just go to Walmart clearance, and he ended up buying a ton of stuff that wasn't good, right? Because you weren't relying on the data. But either way, that obviously ended up being a worthwhile experience because you were getting experience with stuff and it taught you lessons that I'm sure helped today. But yeah, if you're like someone out there who's literally just getting started with Amazon, there's kind of 2 paths I would recommend, which would either be retail arbitrage, clearance, Walmart, all that, or thrift store for books. Both very affordable ways to do it, or both, to be honest. Just see which one works for you, right? Because if you're a kid in college, and maybe it's coming up on December, November when the semester is ending, or May in the future, then it might be a great time to check out textbooks and stuff. But definitely, I mean, we have friends, Richie Hustles, Justin the flipping account, who do serious damage.
Cody
as well.
Amazon.
Shout out to
Amazon.
Cody. Yeah, hopefully we'll have him on. And
Huge
the 2
shout
guys we
out.
mentioned.
Huge shout out Cody and his children
as well. It's his birthday today, man.
Yeah. Shout out Cody.
Shout out to Cody. Yeah,
This is,
yeah. We got
this
to
is gonna
give him
come
some
kind of
love,
late.
man.
We'll probably be a few weeks late on his birthday.
True, Cody. We love you though.
No, that's
We're,
not in
we
facts.
promise.
How old's he turning?
29.
I thought it was
think.
49.
No, well,
I think it's 49. Yeah.
No, I mean, going back to it, like the most stereotypical case of arbitrage is like we were talking about, the clearance aisles.
yeah.
But that's not to say you can't find that opportunity in the grocery aisle of Walmart, in the grocery
Yeah,
aisle of
Very
Amazon
true.
with
Grocery
Kim
stores,
was
yeah.
telling us all about grocery replenishables.
like-
It's really, and like people always just one last point on that. People always ask me like, what's the best type of product to sell? I love
Profitable.
people when they want to make a point, they always say but people legitimately do always ask that, like, what type of product should I sell to start? Just in general, I always say it's not like what type of product, because people buy all types of products on Amazon. It's what you can go ahead and source profitably and what makes the most sense for you based on, area or just what stores you like going to. All that.
I would say if you're struggling with trying to find a category of where to start in, I would try to find something that might be a hobby of yours, because it may just be easier. So like if you're really into sports, then maybe go into like the baseball aisle at Dick's or something and look through all the baseball bats and the gloves or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the way I coach my students is starting out with the big 3: toys, topicals, and grocery.
I knew you were gonna say toys. Yeah.
Right, because in those 3 categories, one, they're all very easily ungateable. Very easy.
Yeah, and like if you need any help with that, just DM one of us on Instagram. We're happy to hook you it up with the info for free.
There's just so much low-hanging fruit in those 3 categories, right? You can go into Walmart tomorrow and scan in those 3 categories, and you're bound to find something, right? It may be in clearance. It may not be in clearance. And, right, we started talking about the quote-unquote replenishability factor of Amazon, and that's kind of the case where you find something at retail price, and you can still sell on Amazon for a profit, right? Because you can go back, not necessarily executing on a sale price, and still purchase it at that same price, and then go ahead and sell it back on Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, arbitrage is a great, really great opportunity, especially if you're just starting. Like, if you have a full-time job, you just go on the weekend, go out to
Walmart's open. Some of them are open 24/7.
Yeah, Justin
mean,
has a full-time job, and he hits up stores. I think nightly he typically goes. He always walking in the store vlogging. So
Yeah, some of the Walmarts are
typically
open
at
24
night.
hours.
Yeah.
What would you say your biggest, if you're not still selling it now, what would be your biggest retail
Pools,
arbitrage
absolutely pools.
opportunity? You
Yeah.
said it was pools.
Pools,
How
definitely.
about you?
Patio heaters.
Okay.
Last Q4.
Mine
Hopefully
probably
this
would have.
Q4 as well.
Mine would have been the chlorine for that 1 week, but
Oh,
I think I
yeah.
made more money
Yeah.
off pools, to be honest.
Pools
I'd probably
were
say pools.
great though, because the profit per unit was the moon.
Yeah.
They
Just
were expensive.
a minor
obviously.
2-minute side note. Do you want to tell the audience of that whole summary of that experience flying down the floor?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
yeah,
some
that was
serious,
funny.
serious
So-
Amazon seller stuff.
Yeah, so
the 2-minute overview.
so huge
he's,
shout out.
He's timing you. He's timing you.
Shout out our boy Jay Carter at 510 Kicks, because he was the one who was going like
yeah,
crazy.
And Cody did a boatload of chlorine as well.
messed
Yeah.
around.
A
and-
pool full of chlorine.
Yeah, so pretty much this Clorox chlorine buckets, these 40-pound buckets, were being sold at Costco's for $90. I think it was like $97.99.
There was a national shortage.
Yeah, so a warehouse that produced all these chlorine tablets like burnt down in the beginning of the year, and there was a huge demand.
I mean, in conjunction with a global pandemic.
Yeah. So there not the demand was high. There was no supply. There was no supply of
Right,
chlorine.
right,
And
anywhere.
it was only in like tropical states. to
Yeah. So
begin with.
this specific SKU was only on the west coast and in the
down
southeast.
south, yeah.
So I found out when a truckload of this chlorine was coming specifically to Florida, the Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale area.
And happened to conveniently really want to go as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to go to Florida, so
Yeah.
so I booked a flight, went down.
And a Tesla, right?
Rented a
get
Tesla.
Did get a Tesla
Shout
for a few
shout out
days.
Elon. Shout out Elon.
Yeah, so went down and pretty much waited until the truck came and it was actually a few days late. Like the day of, I literally flew my friend down because I knew I was gonna need help, and so flew him down, and we got I think it was 148 buckets, and then I shipped them back up to Jersey, and they all sold before I got back.
And it was probably like 15K profit, 10K.
It was like 12, I think, after expenses.
Actually, 12.
I was with you the day they were selling. Do you remember that? We were at the warehouse. And you,
Damn,
this
you
dude
guys didn't hit my line about
this
it.
dude. So he was on his phone at one point. He put his phone away. 5 minutes later, he pulled out his phone. He said, "Wow, I just made $5,000 in 5
Yeah,
minutes."
that's crazy. And when the pending sale, you get the notice.
Yeah, but I mean, the great lesson in arbitrage though, since you are buying them over retail and selling them over retail, the listing can drop at almost a moment's notice.
Yeah, we can have Garrett give a little speech on risk mitigation.
Yeah, I mean, literally 3 days later after I sold all of them at an average price of, it was like just under 300, it was like 297. The listing started dropping, and I think 3 days later it was at like 270, and then eventually over the next month it went to complete shit. But I mean, that's the thing with arbitrage is you got to be careful and never go too crazy on a product, especially if it's like that, and it really could go down to zero.
Yeah, I mean that's why we always talk about utilizing that keep it data, right?
Exactly.
The longer you can span back with that historical data, the more confidence you can then purchase with, right? So if we're looking at a keep it graph and we have 8-10 months of data where that price is fluctuating between 20 and 25, well then I'm pretty sure that I can purchase that product and sell it between 20 and 25 for the next couple months, and it still be in that same price range.
Yeah, no, I was mostly talking about specifically the chlorine on how hot it got so quick, like how needed it was so quickly. So it was quite crazy. But
I think, and in the same token, I think the three of us all cater our businesses to not necessarily those hot items, but the longer term replenishable items.
There's going to be some serious stuff to get these next few months. Definitely, we're going to have to take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But we've built our business around the sort of items where we can purchase and sell it for
LTV kind of.
Right.
LTV,
next like year.
We source something not necessarily with the intention that we can buy it for the next and buy it and sell it for the next week, but we can buy it and sell it for the next 6 to 8 months.
And that's literally stuff from retail, from retail stores and retail websites for our listeners that like literally, we're buying stuff that isn't necessarily on sale, but is still profitable and it's not on sale, not clearance aisle types of stuff that there just happens to be a gap in margin for whatever reason. We can come in, make 30% ROI, 40% ROI, 20% ROI, and do that again and again and again. Really, you're multiplying your capital that way. It's some pretty cool stuff. I can geek out all on the numbers all day. The compounding.
It's all about finding the market inefficiencies.
Yeah,
right?
And you want to talk a little bit about the risk mitigation stuff we talk about. Once again, a reason why RIOA makes sense a lot at the start, especially.
Yeah, and so in terms of, I think the risk
returns, being able to return it.
That's the point that Miles is getting
at. We go
at.
through it on YouTube Live like once a night.
The three of us deal with a lot of beginner sellers, right? And something.
And not too long ago, we were all beginner sellers too, and I'm still, we're still trying to learn.
Compared to the Amazon Lits and the Watch Me Amazons of the world, we're still beginners. So
but something we always talk about when we're speaking with someone who's just plain starting out on Amazon is maybe merchant fulfill for the first 1 to 2 months to use the catchphrase that Miles was using, mitigate that risk. What do we mean by that? Is when you purchase something at retail or online, right? Not necessarily sending it into FBA, but listing it online and keeping that stock in hand and seeing if you could sell it, right? Because the reason why we instruct that is because if it doesn't sell how you thought it would in 2 to 3 weeks, well, then you can take that product, return it back to the store where you got it, take that money, and then turn it into something else, right? We're keeping our opportunity cost really low and our liquidity really high, where we can always pivot on the products and really seek out the best opportunity. Because when we're starting out, we don't necessarily have the most confidence in our sourcing. We don't necessarily, analyze all the different checkpoints that we have known to look at this point. And so, and you're bound to make mistakes in the beginning.
You will make mistakes,
right?
And
we
should make
stuff out.
We
still do, and right, and so that's why we sort of strongly suggest our new sellers that we work with to merchant fulfill for a while, right? To keep your risk super low,
just to keep your commitment low in general. Like you should be coming into selling on Amazon, viewing it as a side hustle that maybe you want to grow it big, maybe you don't, but you want to have that kind of I would say obviously you want to go committed high, but worst comes to worst, I would hate to see someone buy the wrong thing, send it in the FBA, it not sell, and that completely sour their view of Amazon.
I mean, I mean, like, don't spend your rent or your mortgage money
and
on
just
your
in
Amazon
general,
inventory.
another good point, we could be talking about just the arbitrage piece all day. How much do you think people should start with capital wise?
Less than
I
1,000.
mean,
I would say
you
less
could-
than
it
500.
ranges.
Less than 500, yeah, couple $100,
I
definitely.
mean, it ranges, but I mean, 500.
As a great starting point, yeah, because then you can taste a few different things, right? You can try some different stuff and have significant amount of money to go in and actually buy stuff, right? You spend $500, you make 40% on that, boom, that's quick math. Yeah, that's $200 in profit.
I mean, the thing with this business is that it grows itself, right? You put in 200, you invest that 200 on all 30% netting products, and all of a sudden you're at 260, right? So you take that 260, you do the same thing over and over again, potentially even buy the same products, and pretty soon we're at $500, $600, $700, and the more you make, the more you invest, and then it just spider webs until it's, you're netting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And it happens quicker than you would imagine, but it takes the work, it takes the commitment, and it just takes the,
we talked about that in the first episode, that it was so much harder to go from 0 to 10K a month revenue than it was 10 to 50.
100%.
And honestly, like 50 to 100 came so much quicker than 10 to 50.
Yeah,
did,
no, 50
be
to 100 is
honest.
really
well, you did
not
it in
that
1
hard.
month,
Yeah.
didn't you? You went from
it was like 40, 60, like 65, and then 120.
because at
And
that
then
point the business doesn't change, your model didn't change, your strategy didn't
It's
change.
just,
You just
getting
bought
more
more
stuff,
You
yeah.
simply bought more, and at that point, like, we obviously are all operating online. It's not going to more stores, which is, it's harder to scale, and
way
we'll talk
harder
about
to
that,
scale, yeah.
right? Because it's simply pressing the buy it now button more.
Instead of scaling people's time, like we always talk
right,
about on
right,
YouTube
right.
Live.
Retail, I mean, Miles just hit it. You're scaling people's time. You have to manage traffic.
And
you
it
have to
sucks
manage
driving.
stores.
Yeah, I hate
Right?
driving.
I drive to Walmart. There's no saying what's going to be on those shelves.
Yeah,
Whereas
well,
if I
it
go
just
to
takes too much
Walmart,
time, too.
Yeah.
Like,
I can source from 7 different stores in an hour, but if you try and go to those 7 stores in a day,
yeah, I mean, it's possible to hit numbers like 50 to 100K a month on retail arbitrage.
clearly, especially bolos
But,
and stuff.
I mean, we know
absolutely.
people do it consistently.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it'd definitely be better doing it
And
the
and
online
just
way.
more scale. Yeah.
Online.
I mean,
It's just
less
more scalable,
time,
and it's
yeah.
easier because instead of driving store to store, you go browser to browser.
Yeah, and so I guess to kind of summarize the arbitrage piece, it's the model Garrett and I mainly do, and then Danny mostly doing wholesale, which we'll get into a little later. But it's really the most basic form of selling on Amazon, and it can be, wildly profitable. We see it.
I mean,
every
I
day.
still do arbitrage. If the opportunity is there, it'd be stupid not to take it. But I think I had to make kind of like the conscious effort to try to really focus
and you
on
went,
things
yeah, you went really
that were going to
deep
be
into stuff.
replenishable for like the long term, like over a year. Because the chlorine's going to come and go. Things like that comes and goes.
Yeah, pools aren't.
Pools come. I mean, we all know that's going to be there. So patio heaters now. I mean, most likely they're going to be. They might be profitable by the time I'm saying this. Pools next summer, it's going to be profitable again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just kind of the seasonality of things.
Before we move on, let's just touch on the different markets in the arbitrage space, right?
Yes,
we
good
have
call, yeah.
So we have the outlets. I would say that's a separate, segregated market.
Yeah, like don't sleep, for all my shoe guys, don't sleep on the ASICS outlet.
Right. So
Don't
we have the
ASICS
outlets, which is one market. Then I would say we even have a department store market, which is the Marshalls, the
Home
TJ
Goods.
Maxx.
Shout out Home Goods. Got some Amex gift cards.
And
with
then,
them.
so that's
Shout out Home
2,
Goods.
right? Our third segment, our third market would probably be the retail space. So we're talking,
Walmarts, Targets, Home Depot. Danny loves Home Depot for some reason.
Shout out Home Depot. They have great prices.
Literally,
Shout out Home Depot.
Yeah, I mean.
It smells really good in Home Depot.
Alright, so next door.
And then moving up, we'd probably then go to the wholesale market, right?
Yeah, we touched a little bit on the wholesale model. So if one of you gents want to give a nice rundown on that.
The extremely simple version of wholesale is buying at
At
wholesale
scale,
costs from distributors or wholesalers or straight from brands and selling them at retail.
So this is where you can buy serious bulk of stuff, right? This is where you can go directly to a brand, and because you're taking so much and they're in the business of moving as much product as possible, in a best case scenario to one person, which is completely different than the retail store model where anyone can go there. But we talk about, Garrett talks about specifically on some of our YouTube live streams, the barrier of entry to get into wholesale is a lot higher, and that's why for those willing to go deep, for those willing to call instead of email, for those willing to do the extra work. And to preface this, I don't do any wholesale, so that's why I'll probably be speaking a little less during this segment. But in general, still have a decent, idea kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, the barrier of entry to wholesale being a lot higher, because sometimes it does require more capital, not in all cases, but definitely most. You can really do some work. And this is where you see these guys that hopefully we'll get to interview, the Watch Me Amazons of the world, the Amazon Lits of the world. There's a bunch of other really good ones that are doing these huge numbers. This is the model they're mainly operating in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think wholesale is like, I may be wrong, but I feel like a lot of people want to get to wholesale,
but
right,
never do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm me speaking. I'm kind of one of those people right now.
I mean,
so
you can.
hypocritical.
It's just all about relationships, though. And so obviously, Danny's sitting here. We know one of his biggest suppliers is a relationship he's been nurturing for 3 years, right? It didn't come after 2 years. So it didn't come after the first call or the email or the second call. It came after continuing to follow up to see if he can, come in and provide that value in terms of being that Amazon expertise, that Amazon expert. He's not someone that's just throwing money at this brand as a supplier. He's someone that's, improving the listing.
He's Danny.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think some of my best brand accounts, I really only have like one brand account, but my main distribution, my main distributors were all relationships that took like over a year
and
to build, spending a lot of money, barely making profits sometimes on some items.
What were you doing in Vegas last month?
Yeah, and so one of the highest conversions in terms of developing those relationships and developing those wholesale accounts is meeting these people in person.
Where do you meet them?
And so one of the best scenarios to meet these people are called conventions or
trade shows.
Yep.
And what was the name of the one you were at?
So we've been to a couple ASDs. So it's a traveling trade show. They do them all over the country. We've been to, in the past year, we went to Orlando and we went to Las Vegas. Hundreds and hundreds of brands.
Yeah, go and show up to this place to find business, to find buyers for their stuff. So as Amazon sellers, some of our other friends went as well. Taylor, Romer, my boy Bilo Selhine, shout out to him. Maybe sometime if we're ever up northeast.
He sat next to us in Miami, right?
He did sit right next to me. Now that I think about that, I was thinking we could do a northeast tour in the future, and he would be on one of the stops, 100%. Definitely. But so Garrett was going to the show too.
To network, build relationships, and obviously with the intent to set up accounts.
Because one profitable account, even one profitable I mean, I've made 5 figures in profit off one ASIN. In general, probably. Then I'd say 4-figure profit off probably 10 to 30 ASINs this year.
I'd say
like 20, 25.
I'd say like pretty much all the ASINs I tried it like 4. Yeah, like 4.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case for me on all the ASINs. But yeah, just in general, like one product can totally change like your financial situation.
One account can make your business, right? One account. We landed one account in Vegas that's probably going to make us $40,000-$50,000 over the next year, right? And so that's just one account, one relationship, and it could come from it could come from something that you would never even expect. We just started bantering with one of the brands about soccer, right? Then it spiraled into eventually talking about Amazon, and we already had that rapport, so we were that better off. We had that much of a head above anyone else.
Would you say you're gonna buy box Bandit those products?
maybe some of Garrett's. Maybe some of Garrett's products. So I think some of the big thing with wholesale is at least the goal of it kind of for me, like the products might not move as fast as retail or online arbitrage, but like Eric says from Amazon Lit, Amazon is a volume game. So if you have 10 products doing $1,000 in profit a month, that's $10,000 a month. That's 10 wholesale products.
Money. Yeah.
So those items might not move as much, but once you start putting that to scale, that's where
and the ROI could be higher on them because other people aren't buying them because they're lower velocity. In general,
it's possible.
Some cases,
yeah.
And I would say wholesale products are typically more dependable, right? They're more longer term.
Yeah, because your competition's way more serious.
You have almost a guaranteed way to get them. I mean, you have
exactly
in terms of store. Oh yeah, not even just. Yeah, talking on the distribution.
Most likely, the more times you buy it and the higher quantity, the cheaper it's gonna get.
I like man.
Right, and that's why
it's making more sense the more I'm thinking about it. I'm sure viewers are thinking the same thing.
That's why we talk so much about relationships, right? And we're dealing with we're not dealing with a computer where we press, add 50 to cart. We're dealing with people. We're dealing with a sales rep. And so that sales rep controls your destiny in that relationship. If he or she has the capability to give you a 10%, 20%, 30% discount, waive shipping costs, that sales rep has the ability and the potential to completely change the game for you as a
yeah. Also, when you're dealing with like Walmart, dude, they don't care how much you buy. They'll limit how much you buy. When you're dealing with a sales rep that gets a 10% commission, dude, their families.
When you're dealing with Walmart, you're not
more.
dealing with someone. You're dealing with a
Exactly.
computer,
yeah,
right?
and just honestly, just to circle back, kind of do a super important point, right? We talk about Amazon being a relationship game and a volume game, like Eric said, but relationship game. On the arbitrage front, like with OA and stuff, man, we would not be where we are today without knowing each other when we're all kind of grinding, getting started, and became friends and stuff in March and April and all that. And us being friends with other sellers, we only have so much money, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Garrett obviously having so much more than all of us, but I would much rather have my friends also eat off a listing that maybe I can't buy all of them up, but it's either me, it's either us, or some random people in Kentucky or something.
I think actually having a group of, because I know I wouldn't.
I
wouldn't be where I'm at today
incredibly
unless I had
helpful,
you two and
just
others around
questions, man. Like the group chats we have, 30 other awesome
Yeah,
guys.
I
Shout
think
out
finding
to those guys listening.
I think whether it's a Discord or finding a group of people,
and you can
that
literally
you can
just
speak
DM
to,
people and build those. Like multiple of the people that are in the chat we have together have they bought consulting with me in the past, and we just got they were cool, and I wanted to vibe out with them more, so we added them to group chat, and then now they've been able to get access to all our other friends and stuff. And not to say obviously that's a kind of bad way to think about making friends and everything, but just in general, we're talking about in our first episode, which if you haven't already listened to, definitely check that one out right after this. But how I literally DM'd Garrett randomly, Gary V told me in a video he made probably years ago, he told me to DM Garrett people who commented, and I did, and look where we are here now, 6 months later. But
a true story about kind of sharing the wealth, right? So over the summer there was a huge product that was a seasonal product, sort of. It was like a hot product, right? And so the three of us were all on it. We all knew about it, and then we were on an email list from the website.
Oh, this was sick. This was awesome. Don't say it.
So whenever this product,
say it.
So whenever this product, it was a haircutting machine called Floby.
Floby.
Whenever Floby.com sent us an email, we were on their email list.
But it would come out at different times because the email list, the ESP had tens of thousands on it.
Anyway, so the three of us were always subscribed to this notification to be alerted when it went active. When any of us three, and it was typically me because they typically sent them early in the morning.
Early in the morning. Garrett's a morning person. In case you didn't know, you should follow him on Instagram so you can see his morning runs.
So when I would get these notifications, instantly I would FaceTime these two bozos.
It was like he woke me up multiple days. He would wake me up, my eyes, I'm like, and I would just hear
Floby.
Bro, I tell you legitimately, sometimes I had checkouts. And the reason why this was important is because this stuff sold fast and they'd randomly restock it once or twice a week.
Yeah.
So legitimately, there were times I'd wake up and have checkouts, have cards.
We would sit
minutes.
on FaceTime checking out tens of products of Flobies.
Yeah, what do you think? We all spent at least $10,000 on that stuff. Definitely. Probably
I
more
think Danny
20 or
spent
30.
10 on one shoot.
Oh yeah, one
back
time.
when we started messing with the proxies and stuff.
Yeah, we did.
But we would sit there on FaceTime making hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
And they were like $100 profit
before
at the start.
9, 10, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And that was something. It was a cool experience because we all did it.
And that was early. That was early. That was like April and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, we all probably made like 5.
I made at least $5,000 profit off that.
5K.
Because dude, we probably did over 100. I just saw one of those outside. There's Floby outside. It was kind of good banter. But
that's really just a great example of online arbitrage and how powerful it can be sometimes.
We got that lead from a bolo group that I was in.
Yeah. Danny loves
you
bolo
got
groups,
that lead from a bolo group.
We'll talk about it later, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, be careful. Do your research on those bolo groups.
True. Yeah.
Miles put me onto that actually.
Yeah, we ate off that.
Yeah.
It's like
that was a good lead.
$1,000. Yeah, it was good. That was a good lead, guys. You should have been there.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, we got off on that tangent by talking about relationships and how big relationships are, and it can't be understated how much you can provide in a relationship with wholesalers. And that's really
and it's the same thing, right? With us doing the podcast, we're, trying to build a relationship with you guys, help you guys out as well. Is selfishly, we're also going to get to hang out with some other awesome Amazon sellers, some in person, some virtually, that we're going to get to interview being on this and, having a platform that we've spent years building up, relationships with you guys, followers and all that. And now we get a chance to kind of share the wealth even more by doing some long form audio content like the microphone I'm speaking into right now with these guys.
Yeah, I mean,
you look tough. You look tough.
I know you guys watching on YouTube are thinking the same thing. Garrett was just the first one to say it.
You look tough with the headphones and the flow and the microphone.
I'm sorry you guys can't see it, you Apple and Spotify usage, but we love you.
And
check out the YouTube channel if you're on Apple and Spotify.
Check out Buy Box Bandits.
He's got the light shining right on him. He's
that's what happens when you're the man. I mean, I got nothing else to say.
That's funny. I think another good thing about wholesale, or I guess if you're looking for a way to get into it and you don't know where to start, if you have an RA or an OA product that might be like a grocery, try to get out wholesale.
Oh, just in general,
Look up the distributor on that product, and then if you could even get it a few dollars cheaper, that gives you
and
a leg
higher
up on the other
quantities.
people.
And two, just in general, like we'll pay homage. The Wholesale Made Easy podcast is really, really good content on wholesale.
It is very good content.
Sourcing. All right, so we do want to also talk about how you actually go ahead and source products. Specifically, once again, paying homage to the podcast we just mentioned, the reverse product sourcing method, which I know you've had a lot of success with, and just using Smart Scout in general to pretty much reverse source brands, different stuff.
Right, and so when we're talking about wholesale sourcing, we're not necessarily focused on a brand. We're focused on a product. A brand. I said that wrong. We're not focused on a product.
I forgive you. The audience forgives you too.
Yeah, it's okay. You keep going.
We're focused on a brand, right?
Now.
And so with Smart Scout,
you're speaking to the mic, Garrett.
It allows us the capability
speaking to the mic. Speak good.
Is this good?
Yep.
With Smart Scout, it allows us the capability to source and filter between these brands. Like we can look at brands at a macro level and a cumulative level. So we can see the Amazon out of stock rate for an entire brand averaged out across all the product listings. We can look at a brand, their average sale price, their average sales rank, their average velocity, all these different metrics at a wholesome brand level. And that really allows us to, at a wide view, kind of pinpoint which brands that we'd want to.
This is through Smart Scout, right?
Yep.
Which is by Scott Needham, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I think, yeah. Is he East Coast?
No, he's in Colorado.
Okay.
A lot
I
of
was
those
gonna
guys
say,
from,
hopefully we
Utah
can
and Colorado.
maybe sometime.
Where's Scout IQ at?
Scout IQ is
Utah?
Indiana, Colorado. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Matthew lives in Arizona. But either way, we'll hopefully definitely get those guys on as well.
Yeah, huge shout out to Scout IQ guys.
Yeah, I mean, we gave him a shout out to Caleb, man. Hopefully we get him on. Definitely.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
So that's one part of reverse search.
And
sourcing.
you want to give like the really kind of textbook definition of kind of the manual non-software way of doing it.
A lot of us are familiar with tactical arbitrage. The other sense of, and the other way to look at reverse sourcing is to start with a product, right? So if we have a product in mind that Danny was talking about, that we know is profitable, that we know we can source well, and that we know that sells well.
That is a wholesale product by using DS Amazon Quick View, which is a free plugin, and making sure there's 3+ FBA sellers on that listing to make sure that it's not private label, because private label, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you'll get in trouble for trying to sell someone else's product, and it'll be really hard to even source someone else's product. But the nice thing is with DS Amazon Quick View, you can know that without even clicking to the product page. So you can start in the gardening category, the sports and outdoors, whatever, and scroll down the product list, and DS Amazon Quick View is going to show you
it shows
what
you
without
clicking on it.
Without clicking on the product. I mean, it's free.
It's a great, and it shows the sales rank as well.
It does, yeah. And if Amazon sells it, that's another one of the filters. A lot of people will automatically stay away from sold by Amazon products, rightfully so.
I did notice sometimes it is wrong, because sometimes Amazon will sell like a used version of that product, like the warehouse.
Amazon always selling stuff, man.
Yeah.
Just as bad as us.
Yeah, I mean,
they're awful at selling, by the way. We'll talk about
Amazon,
that later.
we love you. We hate Amazon's. No, don't. Whoa. Hate is a strong word. We dislike when Amazon sellers share their disdain for Amazon, who gives us an amazing platform and a 100 million plus customer base to sell through. So we should be more thankful.
Ironically enough, Amazon is great in the logistical space, but in terms of selling on their own platform, they are below average.
Yeah, they're below average. Speaking of logistics and Amazon, they're actually getting into they're going to be like you're gonna be able to ship something through Amazon.
Oh, I had a feeling.
That's,
I think I saw an article.
I think
about
they're
that.
beta testing it in Europe right now. But if I wanted to send something to you, like not related to Amazon, I could now ship it like 1-day shipping through an Amazon.
They should
service.
announce it through the Buy Box Bandit podcast.
I mean, yeah, that'd be really cool.
The person listening to this podcast just subscribe to.
Who's the current CEO of Amazon now? Because Bezos is out. Is he still?
I like sell stuff through Amazon. I don't really get
you don't-
involved with. Yeah, I just like sell stuff through. You guys know that.
And yeah, they are extremely changed the game forever in terms of logistics. Made every single company.
I mean, dude,
have
if you
to go
think
to
about it,
1 or
like
2 day.
people drop shipping like 5 years ago, like it was cool to have stuff take 2 weeks and stuff, and then Amazon just came out of nowhere.
Changed the game, made it unacceptable to ever receive something.
Like if it's past 2 days, it's not.
Yeah.
Like if
It's
that's
like
too
the
long.
person who lives in Alabama giving me a negative feedback because they got their product in 3 days
salty.
instead of
2 straight episodes.
Two
Miles.
straight.
I
You know
mean,
these
that's
people.
Miles' fault.
Miles is salty.
Well, it is. I guess it is my fault that I shipped it in 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, or even 15. But anyways, so to get back to our reverse sourcing point, right? We start with a product that we know works, we know sells, we know is good stuff, and then we try and map that product to a wholesaler or a distributor, right? So we say it's a Starburst, right? We know this Starburst sells well. We're going to take that Starburst, go to the brand, which is on the Amazon page, and then throw that product into Google, that brand into Google, and see what distributors potentially could have this product. See, obviously, if we can reach out to the brand and go straight to them and say, hey, I have this product. We've been selling it profitably. Can we purchase this at scale, right? It may work sometimes. It's not going to always work, right? Because we always talk about wholesale as a numbers game. Yeah. And
Amazon in general, definitely.
Yeah, Amazon in general is definitely volume numbers game.
And also just in terms of speaking about Tactical Arbitrage, Keepa, Wholesale, if you search Flips for Miles on YouTube and then Tactical Arbitrage or Keepa or Beginner, you'll find tutorial videos that we have pre-recorded for you guys on there, as well as just continuing to build out that stuff. But if you want a breakdown of a screen share of us going through that, that's one, a shameless plug, and two, honestly a good resource you should check out.
There's a ton of good videos on all that stuff, especially sourcing. I mean, there's probably hundreds of videos that are all really high quality and really good on how to find products. Yeah,
I mean, you had me on that YouTube video for Tactical Arbitrage. That's probably some of my best content that I've put out.
When you start a YouTube channel, you can post it.
Yeah, there's a really good video on Miles'
channel. That sounded like a total joke. I tease Garrett because he should start a YouTube. Yeah, and I wanted to. But all right, D, you were saying?
I was gonna say the one video on Miles' channel with Garrett talking about Tactical Arbitrage is really, really good.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate the compliment. I like your shirt too.
Yeah, we're just hard plugging everything Miles has going on.
Well, I didn't say anything. I just like the shirt.
Hold on. What do you have against my shirt? This is the second time.
This is the second time.
All right,
don't click off the podcast yet. We're going to talk about private label right now.
Yeah, so private label
is the third Amazon business model we're going to talk about. Also, conveniently, the one none of us do. But we're going to have some private label experts on the podcast at some point, definitely. But it's honestly definitely the kind of most unique
I think private label is the thing that gets a lot of people roped into Amazon, especially if they saw an Instagram advertisement. It was most definitely an advertisement to buy a private label course.
When I think about private label, I think of it as sort of like the cream.
This is super.
Yeah, it's
sexy.
definitely the hardest to get.
This is really sexy stuff,
and not even necessarily the most expensive, although in some cases absolutely the most expensive, but definitely just the most difficulty.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're talking about selling on Amazon as a whole in terms of, separating into hierarchies and the barrier of entry, right? So we start at Arbitrage. That's probably going to be your easiest barrier of entry. Then we see people start to move up into Wholesale. And then, once we get to that Wholesale, we make a name for ourselves. We become successful in Wholesale. Then we see people start to kind of venture into that PL space. And I think that's sort of the trajectory that most Amazon business owners take.
Yeah, so private label, I mean, how would you describe it in 30 seconds? The definition of private label?
It's either bringing a product to the marketplace or putting your brand on an existing product and bringing it to Amazon.
Yeah, so I mean, it's either I wouldn't even say it's not even
creating a brand.
It's pretty much just putting your brand on something.
And creating new product listings, which obviously it's harder because you have to get good photos. You have to do SEO, probably run PPC ads.
You have
and
to own
copyright the description.
You have to own a trademark.
Oh, you have to really.
I'm 99% positive you have to own a trademark.
You have to
put
go
on
through
your
brand
listing.
registry, which
Yeah,
is a
which is a
whole
whole
thing,
nightmare.
yeah.
I did that in June, but I didn't do it the right way.
But I mean, creating a listing is a bear in itself.
You've created listings before, right?
Not created. We've edited them. Not
Edited.
created
You've
them.
edited some of the ones I sell on to this day.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So
Garrett.
so when I always talk about you, I always talk to you guys about that sock listing. We just added a variation.
Mhm.
We didn't create the entire listing. We just simply added.
Those were so good back in the day.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, all right.
Had a like a fly.
Yeah. All our YouTube video viewers just clicked off because of that.
Well, I mean, I wasn't gonna let it bite me. Had to get that out of my face. But yeah. So I mean, the listing, obviously, creating it is I mean, that's something I hope to eventually get better at one day. I mean, that's something that's very, very hard. There's a lot that goes into that. Like you said, the SEO, brand registry. But I mean, private label as a whole, I mean, it's a great opportunity.
Oh, it's really cool, man. I got so much respect for, like, there's a guy on Twitter I know who exited his brand for like a couple seven
yeah.
figures.
Well, that's the thing with private label is there's like a few different routes you could go. One of
It's
them,
actual IP.
One
That's
of
the
them
thing,
is
like,
where
own
you're
the IP.
Well, yeah, exactly. One of them is where you actually create a brand. So the podcast I was listening to today,
The Helium
it
10
was-
guys, right?
yeah, I forgot the name. It's my first time listening.
Well, either way, shout out to those guys.
Yeah, it was a good podcast. He was talking about how he created a private label brand that was making biodegradable dog poop bags from ocean like recycled like
I
ocean
think my
plastic.
family buys those. So.
They might.
All right,
I mean, they
cool.
honestly might. But he made a whole private label company about that, and I think he sold it for I forgot the number, but it was like in the millions of dollars. But that's one example of creating a private label company and then purposely building it to exit like 3 or 4 years later.
I mean, that's part of the dream in terms of building a business in America, right? Putting the effort in, putting that sweat equity in, and then eventually exiting it, running off into the sunset with.
There's not too many countries where you could build a company like that and then sell it for like $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, you
with your boys.
you spend 20, 30 years building something, then you run off into the sunset with a bag from it and enjoy the rest of your life. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, I think private label is something I'm definitely interested in. Like, so I'm just really trying to keep perfecting wholesale right now. But it's on my mind. It's definitely on my mind.
Yeah, and who are some private label creators? Definitely Trevin Peterson.
Who was the person that spoke in Miami?
Trevin.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Trevin.
Well,
honestly,
so
I'm not
all of-
sure too many others, to be honest.
Well, because private label walks the line with like scammy Instagram gurus.
Yeah, there's a dude on Twitter I know, Andy. I think it's Isom. He has YouTube as well. He's like 50K subscribers. He actually has his brand. His brand is like he tells people about his brand. I've looked at it. It's pretty cool. It's like a dog bandana brand, which is very neat. Maybe we'll get him on sometime.
But like most big wholesalers do private label.
Amazon Lit does. Yeah.
The smartest Amazon seller, Scott Needham, does private label. Amazon Lit does.
I think that's something that just comes when you're doing wholesale.
And they probably
Eventually,
have
yeah.
such good knowledge of like SEO and PPC and all that from doing wholesale at such scale.
Yeah, I think I don't know, at least for me, the way to do it is definitely continue with wholesale, and then the private label will come as I get more familiar.
Because you
with it.
can, I mean, with wholesale, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's very systematic.
It's easier than private label.
You can build systems around wholesale, and then eventually, make that business more efficient, quote unquote, more automated.
And you can pivot so much
and
easier.
slowly.
That's the thing with PL. Like if you're in, you got to be in.
And those some of these private label products take 6. I know it takes at least 6 months to get a trademark. So I mean, right, like it takes 6 months to a year.
Right now, like shipping freight with China and stuff is
containers containers run from 4 to 30,000.
Well, the other thing is you want to order a test product and actually feel it and see the quality, right? Because one of the biggest things with private label in terms of building that brand and building that reputation is developing a review base.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times the majority of Amazon customers purchase from their phone nowadays. And the reason why that's important is when you're purchasing mobile, you purchase really on 3 factors: the main image, the number of reviews, and the amount of stars you'll see on the listing, and then the title. Those are the only 3 things that you see on a mobile purchase, right? So that's why reviews in the primary image are so crucial, is because as the years go on, more and more people are purchasing from that Amazon app, and those are really the only 3 things that they're making their purchases on.
Yeah.
So if you have 2-star reviews and the product next to you on that page has 5 and 2,000 more reviews, then who do you think they're going to go with, right? So their actual review count and the quality of those reviews is massive. That's why it's with PL, it's not necessarily just bringing a product to market. It's bringing quality to market.
Yeah. Another thing first of all, I don't think any of us are knocking private label. I think we're all
I would say
we're all extremely envious.
We're striving for it.
Yeah.
But you have to know that you're not going to be making money with private label in most cases from 6 months to up to a year in terms of turning a profit. Like, it's not going to be profitable within 6 months or a year. We got Garrett over here looking for something. Garrett, what are you looking for?
I was looking for my phone. I was going to take an Instagram.
Your phone's up there, Garrett.
Where? Oh,
It's up there. The timer. Wow.
Yeah, the timer isn't even on.
Okay, Garrett's leaving the set here, so now it's just me and Miles. No, so yeah, I mean, private label, you're not turning a profit for 6 to 12 months. So I think, if you want to create a brand, it's something to definitely look into.
Cool. Yeah,
but if you're just wanting to start with Amazon, definitely start retail, online arbitrage, and then eventually, if you want to continue scaling, start getting into wholesale.
I don't think we prefaced like how scalable just the OAR. Like I'm doing.
You could scale to over.
I've done nearly to like 200 grand, like 180. I think the past 30 days, and it's been 100% arbitrage. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the opportunity is endless with online and retail arbitrage.
Yeah, so we went through OA or just arbitrage wholesale, got into some PL a little bit. Kind of the most controversial model and just the most.
Well, I think this is the biggest Instagram ad, actually.
Guru-y. I was just getting into that. Guru-y.
This is definitely.
Buy my $997 automation done for you. I'll build a business. You'll make $1 million tomorrow.
I mean, everyone at one point had to think they were going to create a multi-million dollar
dropshipping store. Not even on Amazon in general, but yeah.
Shopify, remember? Didn't we both try it at the same time?
Dude, I tried it earlier this year. I actually made a couple sales. It's pretty fun.
I think we were doing it at the same time.
Yeah, we might have been, man.
I remember I was doing the nebulizers.
Dude, I don't know.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, all right, but yeah, Danny, tell the people, our loyal listeners, about dropshipping on Amazon.
It's a scam. No, I'm joking.
It's not he's lying, guys.
It is. I wouldn't even know how to describe. I mean, it's most people probably know, but it's when someone places an order, you're selling an item, and you don't ever physically see or touch the item. So, I think the Shopify way of dropshipping is when you have a store. It's like your own brand. It could be a one product store. Someone orders something, and then you place that order with a vendor in China or in Vietnam or wherever, and then they ship it to the customer. So it completely skips you from the logistics and transportation route. On Amazon, there's a bit more rules to follow. So, I mean, one of them being the brand that's selling that product that you're drop shipping from. So let's say you bought something, you're selling something from Michael's, and you buy it online.
Why Michael's?
I don't.
You should have said Home Depot. I was like,
okay, so you're buying something from Home Depot. That box better not say Home Depot on it.
Yeah, one just from a customer service.
It's just not a good look.
Not a good look. Yeah. So like in the case of Amazon, it'd be like you list this beautiful hydro flask that our YouTube viewers see, right? They might even not see it right.
They don't see
it.
We
have it. But you list that on Amazon, and then when it sells for 30, you buy it on Walmart for 14 or whatever, and you profit, $3 or $4 a unit, whatever.
Yeah. But I'm just talking specifically what I said about one of the rules. Drop shipping on Amazon is extremely complicated
and risky.
It's extremely risky. I definitely wouldn't do drop shipping and wholesale or even OARA on the same account, because like every single drop shipping guru I see, even some that I know are actually doing it, they all say your accounts will get banned. Every single one of them.
Facts.
Like, there isn't one that
This one dude in the Launchpad did like an M drop shipping the past 12 months, and he was like, yeah, like they're gonna shut my account. He said something funny like that.
Yeah.
In the same breath, though, to play devil's advocate, there are softwares that made to drop ship on Amazon. There are companies that support it.
No, some of my like distributors, you can.
Oh, that was just cool. It makes a ton of sense from everyone's perspective.
I mean, it's a little bit more expensive.
It eliminates.
As it should be, yeah.
Because as Amazon business owners, we essentially act as the middleman or one of the middlemans. And with drop shipping, you eliminate that and go straight from the supply to the demand, right? You go straight there.
You don't have to buy any inventory up front.
Right,
You're only buying it when it sells, which is attractive to drop shipping.
Right, so there are softwares that have been made to facilitate that whole process, to communicate with the Amazon site to the supply site and kind of facilitate that communication to say, whenever something gets purchased, okay, I'm going to prompt one item to be shipped to this address. And it works, right? As long as Danny alluded to, as long as the packaging is non-branded, as long as there's no indication of the the buy cost on the front end, not necessarily the retail price,
like an invoice in the box.
There's no indication of how much that product was sourced for, and it works, right? As long as you can get to the product to the customer in a timely fashion, it works. Some of the reasons why Amazon does not appreciate drop shipping is the turnaround time, right? So most drop shipping companies source from overseas, and that is just super not.
I feel like they've pretty much stopped that at this point. I don't see. I mean, they haven't, but I don't see a lot of listings anymore. They took a lot of that down. Because you'd have to have really long shipment times, and Amazon they don't even. I don't even think they really show those listings.
Yeah, your late shipment rate will get all.
Well, no, that I'm saying like when you see a listing and it says like ships in 6 to 8 weeks and it's an MF, like they don't show those anymore.
Yeah,
that's completely. They push all those down. I think the main way people drop ship now, I mean, you'll see it. You'll see people's stores that have like 5 ratings and they have 5,000 products because they just
upload.
I mean, that's a surefire way to get your account shut down.
But I mean, Amazon is just so conscientious of the brand, right? They've spent tens of years building this brand, this empire,
billions of dollars,
and right. So part of the reason is for FBA's creation is so they can audit every single product
and have so much more control over the distribution, handle getting it to customers so much faster.
Right, and so for anyone that's not familiar with the FBA process, they put their eyes on every single product. They check it in. They make sure there's no flaws in the product, right? So that's their way of auditing and a quality control mechanism to make sure that customer, that end consumer is getting the best product. So that's one way. The other way is obviously merchant fulfilled, but we're constantly being audited from a control aspect with our reviews, with our shipping metrics, with our just account health, right? So Amazon is so focused on providing the best customer experience. That's why they offer the 1 and 2 day shipping, right? And so drop shipping is just a huge risk of diminishing that Amazon brand.
Yep. And in terms of like, we don't really have any friends that do it. But I don't know. If you're interested in checking out Amazon dropshipping,
I'll probably be neighbors with one in Miami.
I would maybe give it a go at like Arbitrage or something that's a little more stable at the start. But maybe just search it up on YouTube and see who looks the least gooey out of maybe the YouTubers talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think good opportunity. But in terms of
just
if you want to build a long-lasting
actually
Amazon
no,
business.
My boy Paul Lipsky. Now that I think about it,
he also does eBay as
and
well.
Facebook Marketplace. It's neat. He's kind of really spanned, but definitely a legit dude. I've known him for a little while now, but definitely him.
Yeah, I follow him as well.
He travels the country living out of an RV.
Yeah, he lives out of a van or an RV.
Good dude, definitely.
Would you guys ever do that? Van life? Would you do that?
I could see Miles would.
Was that a yes? Okay, getting a no
maybe.
comment.
I don't know. We'll definitely get Paul on the podcast. Absolutely, we will. Though.
Would you ever do van life? Live out of a van forever, or not forever? For like a year?
I mean, I live out of a warehouse for some part of them.
Yeah, Garrett does.
I would.
Maybe have some episodes there.
Possibly. All right. I mean, we're kind of up close to the hour. I'd say to wrap it up.
I mean, we got through those 4 business models super quickly and efficiently.
Yeah. What would be your Q4 fourth quarter tips for the people?
Ooh, get a lot of purchasing power. I would say get to know as many Amazon sellers as possible. That's one of our big advantages going into it, already being tapped into a great and growing network, knowing a whole bunch of people. But yeah, a lot of purchasing power. Get merchant fulfilled supplies, kind of everything Garrett said when people have asked about it in our YouTube live streams. But yeah, Garrett, what do you got for the people?
I was just say, be ready to pivot, right? We don't necessarily know some of the factors, how they're going to play out. One being obviously the Delta variant. We're filling in this in September, right? So we don't necessarily know how that's all going to progress, but we have to be able to pivot whenever, right? Amazon has dropped a couple bombs on us business owners throughout the year, so we don't necessarily know what restriction limits are going to be or inventory limits are going to be like. Just privileges sending into FBA. FBA is, I think, without a doubt, going to get slower in terms of
I'd probably say I think Amazon Lib posted on their story they send in until like mid-November and then pivot to MF.
In terms of the seasonality of what we're going to be talking about with Q4, I think it behooves you. I think it makes a lot of sense to at least develop merchant fulfilled systems, right? Don't be that person to have a bunch of Thanksgiving plates in FBA November 26th or November 27th. You do not want to be that person.
Yeah, and don't have a lot of toys in stock December 26th either, because those things.
Yeah, I mean, the toys, I mean, you have the mitigation. Toys do sell year round, right? And we especially
That's
see
true, they could. That
an
is true.
extended
Very
Q4.
true. I feel like the prices definitely drop because
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the
every year
sellers
does.
get worried.
Yeah. Oh,
But
well,
we
that
have,
too.
I mean, we do have an extended Q4 into mid-January, right? With all those Amazon gift cards that people get for gifts, etc. Right? So we typically see that those prices and the demand continue up to like January 15th or so. But I just say keep your
Put on the gas.
Yeah, this is the quarter. If you're doing retail
Let's
or
get
online
to
arbitrage,
it. Boy,
this is the quarter.
life-changing money is on the line.
This
Yeah.
is
we all are
this is
people
the
gotta
time.
take
This
advantage.
is the time of the year where you want to go big or go home in terms of arbitrage.
Well, just go big, period. But
I mean,
yeah,
not go
seriously
big or
though,
home,
like this,
like-
there's so much opportunity,
Yeah.
and we're just excited to be, to have a little
Take,
bit of your time,
I'd say take
hopefully give
smart
some
risks.
value and stuff. And yeah, once again, so this is our second ever podcast. So, leave us a rating if you're listening on the
Whatever,
podcast platforms.
Makes us go higher up in
do
the
it,
algorithms.
do what
like,
you gotta
comment,
do. Yeah, but
5
seriously,
stars.
thank you guys for being with us. Any of your favorite Amazon or just make money online people you think would be good on the podcast, let us know. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching on YouTube. Love Danny's shirt. Make sure to subscribe below.
That's number
we
3.
will see you guys on the next
That's the
one.
third time he didn't compliment my
Peace.
shirt.
Peace.